If you like what I do, consider joining my channel or donating to my coffee. Links in the description.
I didn't know you were alive.
That's because I was napping, silly cat, named Lola. I'm a lady and I'm a bug. I'm a lady.
The latest Lone Fungus game is here. Lone Fungus, Melody of Spores. And it looks nothing like its predecessor. Sure, our little mushroom dude Greencap is back, reprising his role in this prequel as the Lone Fungus, despite the game being full of fungi. But instead of our chunky hero navigating an underground labyrinth lost to time, we get to see him bouncing and bopping across the surface of a bright world that's very much alive. And this time, combat takes center stage. Our boy comes packed with whips, knives, axes, and all manner of enemy dispatching delights. So, what's going on here? You play as Greencap, either again or this is his ancestor, or maybe there's some timey-wimey shenanigans at play, who knows? All you know is that your little buddy's town gets attacked by a monster called the Spiritual Beast, forcing him and the villagers to evacuate. Sadly, Greencap's mentor and uncle doesn't make it. Years later, Greencap is tasked with meeting an oracle who sends him on a quest to quell the spiritual beast. This setup's music to my ears, but will this melody make for a memorable Metroidvania?
Combat.
Like I said earlier, combat's the focus in this fungal foray. Greencap brings the pain with a whip like he's a true blue vampire killer. But unlike the Belmonts of old, this mushroom moves like a dream. He even jumps way higher than his last iteration. His aerial movement is sublime, and the dodge, fast, fun, and full of iframes. Greencap can crack his whip in 8 directions, giving players plenty of approach options. He can also equip sub-weapons for those pesky enemies who are just out of reach. You've got 2 sub-weapon slots to play with, and the arsenal is stacked. Throwing knives, spears, and yes, a very familiar axe with a very familiar throwing arc. Our dude's more Belmont than Boletus. Of course, sub-weapons come with restrictions. That blue bar, that's your mana. Each use costs a chunk, and when it's dry, no more throwing stuff for you. You replenish mana by picking up blue orbs dropped by enemies. A bit of a downgrade from the last game where you could refill MP just by attacking, but it's all good. I mostly used my MP for healing anyway. In Melody, healing works like a sub-weapon. You equip a healing relic and hold the button to exchange 2 MP for 1 HP. It takes a moment to kick in, per usual, but it gets the job done. One of the coolest aspects of Melody's combat is its armor system. Greencap starts with a couple ticks of armor, which can be increased as you progress. As you'd expect, armor reduces incoming damage, but more importantly, it acts as a buffer. When you take a hit, armor gets depleted first, sparing your HP. I'm not sure exactly how much damage it mitigates, but I can say it's super helpful. And later in the game, when you unlock ways to refill armor mid-fight, you'll want to pay close attention. Those tools can make a huge difference in tougher encounters. But none of what I've shared with you compares to the greatest mechanic in this game, Greencap's mastery of the art of Fung Fu. Imagine Hornet's 45-degree angle strike, but actually fun to do. Unlike Hornet's dive, Greencap unleashes a much manlier dropkick that keeps flying until it connects. And that right there makes all the difference. I wasn't one of the many Silksong players who complained about Hornet's default dive, but let's be real, it wasn't perfect. Its biggest flaw? You gotta be close to pull it off cleanly. Not right up on the enemy, but close enough that it feels limited. Greencap's Fung Fu? I can be halfway across the screen and still kick some hapless weirdo in the face. And I can keep kicking them in the face to my heart's content. Chaining these kicks is easy and fun, even if they don't do much damage, which is fine because that's not their purpose. In combat, Fung Fu kicks are best used to break shields, reposition mid-fight, thanks to the iframes you get from bouncing off heads and lower enemy defense. Those green marks, that's your debuff indicator, and they stack. Kick an enemy a few times, then follow up with your whip for massive damage. It's such an enjoyable mechanic that I hope it doesn't get overshadowed by the latest bug game, because let's face it, Melody does the 45-degree angle attack way better. It's a layered attack that's also a dodge and a debuff, and it just feels better to use. Sorry, Hornet fans, Green Cap's Fung Fu takes the W. And while lacerating and kicking enemies is a blast in general, the bosses are where the real fun kicks in. It's funny, the original Lone Fungus was teeming with boss fights. Within the first couple of hours, I'd already taken out several. In Melody, I'd only fought one boss in that same time span. But don't take that as a dig. I could have tackled that boss much earlier. I just chose to explore. And there's a lot to explore before even starting the quest. Like, a whole lot. So fighting the boss late? That's on me, and I'm 100% cool with that. It's true the quantity of bosses has gone down since the original, but their quality has gone way up. The early to mid-game bosses, solid, no complaints, no notes. With bosses at these stages of the game, as long as they pass the face tank test, meaning I actually have to engage with the fight to win, I'm happy. But Melody's late game bosses, compared to the rest of the game's encounters, they're an absolute nightmare. And I mean that in a good way. The penultimate and final bosses are such steep difficulty spikes that I was convinced I'd reached them too early. But nope, I just had to get good. And get good I got. And I'm glad I did, because those final encounters were so good. Such an excellent way to cap off the experience. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about Melody's difficulty. I found the escalation to be excellent. It starts out stress-free and breezy, gradually ramps up as you progress, and culminates in a wild set of platforming gauntlets and a couple of bonkers fights that feel like final bosses. It's a natural, satisfying progression. But the reason I bring up difficulty isn't just because I love the escalation, which I do, it's because this game has so many accessibility options that anyone can play it. You've got 3 difficulty modes, easy, normal, and hard, as well as a custom difficulty that lets you tweak parameters to fit your ideal experience. There's even an assist mode that lets you toggle invincibility and allows you to give yourself money. And that's not all. The game includes an auto pin feature that automatically marks your map when you hit a utility gate. You can even take screenshots of locations so you can see exactly what was blocking you. It's all amazing stuff that, honestly, could turn the experience into a brain-dead endeavor, which isn't what most Metroidvania fans want. But here's the thing, all of it is optional. If you don't want to use it, don't. And I think that's brilliant. The more accessible we can make MVs, the better. That's why, despite a pretty challenging endgame, I think Melody is an excellent starter Metroidvania. Basti, the developer, deserves serious credit for his player-first design philosophy. He's got a real knack for making difficulty progression feel natural and rewarding, all while staying mindful of the player experience. He understands that skill gaps exist, and instead of flattening the challenge, he builds systems and uses level design that accommodate everyone. That's why most of the game's toughest sections are optional. But don't get it twisted. Just because he knows when to pull back doesn't mean he doesn't crank things up when it counts. Melody's endgame showcases this perfectly. Basti knows how to pace a critical path in a Metroidvania, and he knows when and how to push you. And that's it for combat. Melody of Spores refines the fungal formula with whip-smart combat, buttery movement, and the glorious invention of Fung Fu. Bosses are fewer but fiercer, with late-game encounters that demand mastery and reward it in spades. And thanks to a suite of accessibility options and a developer who truly understands MV pacing, Melody welcomes newcomers without compromising challenge for the most dedicated players. Whether you're cracking whips or cracking skulls with dropkicks, this mushroom knows exactly when to bring the heat.
Abilities, platforming.
Though platforming was the star in the original Lone Fungus, it takes a step back in Melody to let combat bask in the sunlight. Which is, I guess, counterintuitive to a mushroom, but whatever. Anyway, that doesn't mean the platforming isn't great. On the contrary, I actually prefer this more toned down approach. I love platforming as much as the next guy, but when a Metroidvania leans too hard on its platforming difficulty as its main hook, it can start to feel gimmicky. To me, platforming should complement combat, like a good wine complements a great entree. And that's exactly how it feels in Melody, a platforming Bordeaux paired with combat's juicy prime rib. Jumping feels fun, dodging feels fun, air dashing feels fun, swinging from your whip, you better believe it feels fun. Melody absolutely nails movement fundamentals, and it all just feels great. The only slight disappointment is how safe the game plays things when it comes to abilities. There's not a single mechanic, gimmick, or hook you haven't seen elsewhere, and that's a shame. But because the core movement is so polished, you'll be having too much fun to stay disappointed for long. As I mentioned earlier, Melody does feature some tricky platforming sections, most of which are tucked away in optional or hidden areas with sweet rewards. And that's not all. Eventually, you'll unlock astral gates, just like in the first game. But unlike the first game, gates aren't hidden. Most are right along your path and marked by blue sparkles on the map, so missing them takes effort. Astral gates house the game's most hardcore platforming sequences. They're sequestered, bite-sized missions with zero consequences for failure. Miss a jump, fall into the void, and get right back at it. No punishment, just pure challenge. It's just more fun that way. These sections are a lot of fun, but just like in the first game, they can be total pace killers when you're focused on exploring. I usually skipped them on my first visit to a biome and came back later, which was kind of a pain. In the original Lone Fungus, there was a dedicated hub that housed all the astral gates you found along your journey, and I missed that. It was nice to spot a gate, ignore it, and keep exploring, knowing I could return to the hub when I was in a platforming mood. If Melody does have a hub, I never found it. As for biomes, each zone brings its own gimmick to keep things fresh. Traps, underwater sections, bouncy flowers, balls of light that fling you across gaps. So not all the good stuff is tucked away in optional areas. Even the moment-to-moment platforming can get pretty intense, and more importantly, fun. That's it for this section. Melody of Spores may dial back the platforming when compared to its predecessor, but it still delivers a smooth, satisfying movement experience that complements its combat-first focus. While its ability set plays things safe, the fundamentals are so polished you won't mind. Optional astral gates offer bite-sized gauntlets for the hardcore crowd, and biome gimmicks keep the moment-to-moment traversal fresh. Melody isn't reinventing the Metroidvania wheel, but it makes sure the tires are on tight, the pressure's perfect, and the ride is smooth.
Progression.
Melody has evolved from its Metroid-like roots into a full-blown Metroidvania packed with RPG goodness. Stats? Check. Gear? Check. Leveling? Kinda check. I'll get to that in a sec. Yes, Melody lets you gear up your mushroom with multiple whips and sub-weapons, crowns to wear, and 5 relic slots. Accessories that modify our little dude in meaningful ways. You start with just 1 slot and can unlock the other 4 if you're a freaking millionaire. But we'll come back to the economy. Each whip has its own damage output and special properties. Until I assembled the almighty Beast Slayer, which hits hard and has a chance to restore MP on strike, I relied on the Thorn Lash, a high damage whip that only delivers its full power if you connect with the tip. There are tons of whips in this game with cool effects, but I'll leave those for you to discover. Crowns are interesting. They don't boost your stats, but they come with specialized perks. One crown zaps nearby enemies with electrical damage, while another randomly negates all damage when you're hit. They're easily my favorite accessories in the game. I always got excited when I found new headgear. Now, Greencap's stats aren't actually affected by any of the equipment you put on. Instead, stats increase whenever you collect 3 stars while exploring, or when you defeat a boss. Every 3rd star or boss defeat triggers a level up screen where you choose one of 5 stats to boost: HP, Armor, MP, Attack, or Finesse. Most of these are self-explanatory, except Finesse, which is kinda interesting. It boosts the power of your equipment and increases the damage of your Fung Fu kick. So, if you're a sub-weapon spammer, this is your stat. And don't sweat your point allocation. You can respec anytime for free by talking to a specific NPC. So, if you feel like you've messed up, just shift things around. It's a flexible, player-friendly system, and honestly, one of the most unique aspects of Melody. The last piece of quote-unquote equipment is your companion, little floaty boys who help you. Barry makes his triumphant return and shoots enemies, You can get a ladybug who eats projectiles trying to harm you, and then there's the MVP, Cog, who drops armor for you. Every companion was awesome and made the game 10 times better because flying companions make every Metroidvania better. That's just science. Alright, let's talk about this economy. Boy, oh boy, is money hard to come by. Enemies drop a couple of bucks when defeated, but the best way to earn cash is by finding chests. And even then, your funds won't stretch far. Not just because of stingy enemy drops, but thanks to the game's save system. If you thought buying benches in Silksong was bad, Melody pulls the same BS. Just not at every shrine. But if you want each save shrine to double as a fast travel point, you'll need to cough up some serious dough. And it's never cheap. My advice, be frugal when activating fast travel points. You don't need every shrine to be travelable. Save your cash and treat yourself to more relic slots or cool crowns. You're worth it. The game has numerous shops scattered across its world, each with unique stock. So revisit them often. Trust me on this. I've missed completing side quests just because I forgot to check a vendor. Speaking of side quests, holy cow, Lone Fungus has side quests. And a lot of them. And a quest log to help you keep track of them. You'll love to see it. And these quests are varied. You've got fetch quests, a quest to close all the astral gates, a collectathon with milestone rewards, and even a souffle quest that works just like Hollow Knight's delicate flower quest. So, you know I told it to f*** all the way off. So yeah, there's some solid side content here, and the rewards are worth it. Just make sure you're checking that quest log, lest you miss something neat. Like, say, hypothetically, an entire biome with one of the game's best bosses guarding one of the game's most helpful abilities. Hypothetically. And that's it for progression. Melody of Spores has gone full Metroidvania, toting RPG elements that are flexible, rewarding, and packed with personality. From whip swapping and crown collecting to stat boosts and side quests, there's always something to chase. The economy may be stingy, but the gear's worth the grind, and the quest log's packed with surprises. Some of which you really don't want to miss. Unless it's that stupid f***ing souffle mission. You can miss me with that shit.
Exploration.
Melody, for the most part, plays it safe with the Metroidvania genre. And exploration is no exception. Unlike its more experimental predecessor, Melody is as traditional as they come. It's almost like the dev said, look, I can make normal Metroidvanias too. And you know what? He sure can. So much of what Melody does is by the books MV fare we've seen for years. That's not to say Basti doesn't bring his own flavor. The armor system is cool, the defense debuffing Fung Fu kicks are great, and the choose your own upgrade system is something I hope other devs steal. But by and large, Melody is a pretty by the numbers MV. Is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. Here's something every dev needs to hear. You don't have to reinvent the genre or lean on gimmicks to make a great Metroidvania. What you do need is a firm grasp of the fundamentals. I'll break it down for you. Nail your movement, make combat engaging, and keep exploration intriguing. If you've got those three pillars locked in, you're on the right track. Sure, presentation, level design, and art direction matter, but if you haven't solidified the foundational trifecta of combat, movement, and exploration, the rest won't save you. Personally, I'll play an ugly MV if it nails the fundamentals. So, what does this little diatribe have to do with Melody of Spores? Well, I'm happy to say that even though Melody is a very traditional MV that plays it by the books, it's the total freaking package. There really isn't a single aspect of the game I don't think is high quality. I love the combat, the platforming, the movement, the presentation, and most importantly, I love the exploration. And since this is the exploration section, let's get into why it works so well. Simply put, I want to explore this world. I want to see what's behind the obstacle that was abilitiesing me. I want to find out what rewards are waiting at the end of a tricky platforming gauntlet. I want to smack every wall with my whip just to see if it crumbles into a secret path. At almost every screen and every turn, there's something interesting waiting for you. An out-of-reach ledge, an unfamiliar block, a locked door, a weird NPC, a relic, a star, a secret. You're never not doing something. And so that MV itch in your brain is constantly getting scratched, but is never fully quelled. That's the best way to keep Metroidvaniers engaged. Keep us entrenched and all the potential progress we could make if only we had the right tool to move forward. Melody also has an interesting take on linearity. Its critical path is very linear, but the abundance of optional routes creates the illusion of non-linearity. And illusion or not, that sense of freedom is a win in my book. There is so much of the world available to you before you even take on the first boss. It's actually nuts. And there are 2 entire biomes that are 100% optional, one of which is pretty well hidden, and both are worth finding for the challenge and the rewards. Additionally, Melody's biomes never feel like one-and-done affairs. Each zone hides secrets and forward paths that require multiple revisits. Some biomes are much larger than expected, packed with great lore and loot. You know it's a good thing when your biomes feel more like biomes than levels. And that brings us to backtracking. While there are a few moments of necessary backtracking along the critical path, it's mostly used to uncover optional rewards, which is fantastic considering how satisfying those detours can be. And thanks to the game's excellent, if pricey, fast travel system, retracing your steps couldn't be easier. Every save station can become a fast travel point if you've got the cash. Like I said earlier, you don't need to convert every shrine. Money's tight in Melody, and the best way to save up is to be picky with your fast travel spending. As for the map, it's fine. It's blocky, color-coded by biome, and lets you drop pins. With auto pin enabled, you'll see question marks at ability-gated locations. You can even view your screenshots anytime. So while the map isn't the most detailed, it more than makes up for it with genuinely helpful features. That's it for exploration. Melody of Spores may not reinvent exploration, but it absolutely understands it. From ability-gated secrets and optional biomes to satisfying backtracking and a feature-rich map, the game keeps your curiosity stoked and your whip swinging. It's a masterclass in traditional Metroidvania design, proof that when you nail the fundamentals, the rest fall into place.
Atmosphere, narrative.
Melody looks gorgeous. I love its pixel work, charming character designs, and overall presentation. The music's pretty good. There are some nice atmospheric bangers, but it's the sound design that takes the trophy. I especially love how the game slows down when you take a hit, and the flash effects are slick too. And the way the music distorts when you're underwater is always a nice touch. I just love looking at this game. Its visuals sit somewhere between the 16 and 32-bit eras, and the animations are simply charming. Enemy and boss designs lean toward the adorable and goofy side, but that fits Melody's tone perfectly. This is a bright, silly game with an endearing, goofy protagonist, and it fully commits to that vibe. I wasn't the biggest fan of the original game's humor, but here it works, thanks to a livelier setting and more interesting characters for Greencap to bounce his personality off of. Also, he screams "wee" when he gets flung. The narrative itself is pretty intriguing. It's your classic chosen hero setup, sprinkled with prophecies and ancient civilizations. Stuff I eat up no matter how many times I've seen it. It's like my wife and daughters with rom-coms. We unabashedly relish the tropes. There's only one ending though, and I'm not going to pretend I fully understand how this game links to the first. I've got my theories, and I'm hoping Basti continues the series so we can get some answers. That's it for this section. Melody delivers a vibrant, charming world that's easy to fall in love with. Its pixel art pops, its sound design elevates every moment, and its goofy tone lands thanks to a more expressive cast and setting. The story may lean on familiar tropes, but it does so with heart, and just enough mystery to keep you theorizing. Whether it's Greencap's "wee" or the underwater audio warble, Melody knows how to make its atmosphere sing.
Final thoughts and score.
Melody of Spores doesn't try to reinvent the genre. It just nails what matters. With buttery movement, whip-smart combat, and exploration that constantly rewards curiosity, it's a love letter to traditional Metroidvania design. The RPG progression is flexible and fun, the accessibility options are thoughtful, and the atmosphere is charming without losing bite. Whether you're a seasoned Metroidvania or just dipping your toes into the genre, Melody delivers a polished, player-first experience that's easy to recommend. I award Lone Fungus, Melody of Spores, a 9.5 out of 10. Lone Fungus, Melody of Spores is available on PC. I played the game exclusively on the Steam Deck with 0 issues, and therefore give it a Steam Deck rating of verified.
Tier placement.
Lone Fungus: Melody of Spores is an outstanding game and a fantastic Metroidvania. It doesn't push genre boundaries, but it doesn't need to, because it nails the fundamentals with style. Combat is layered and satisfying, exploration is consistently rewarding, and progression is packed with personality. It's a polished, player-first experience that balances challenge, charm, and accessibility. Not quite genre-defining, but absolutely genre-refining. Lone Fungus: Melody of Spores tames the A tier. If you've even a passing interest in the Metroidvania genre, you should give Melody a shot. And if you didn't like the original game for whatever reason, you should still give Melody a shot. It's such a different experience than the first game. Honestly, if you're a Metroidvanier, skipping out on this adventure should be classified as a first-class Melody.